is Pay What You Can Learning, and you can go to acedogsports.com to pay. If you don't like using PayPal, you can send me an email, and my email's right there, sandy@acedogsports.com, and I'll tell you where to send a check. I am recording this just in case you can't hear me. I want everybody to know that this is being recorded, and then we put them on the YouTube channel. So you can tell your friends, hey, you got to go check out. And now it's, whatever, I've got 20 some of them. And what's cool now when I'm teaching is instead of pontificating endlessly about everything, even though I'd love to do that, I can say, hey, check out boxes on the YouTube channel, check out SERPs, check out First and Last Jump. So thank you very much for coming. I want to go over the article, but I want to take this subject a bit further today, because the article talks, there's always two sides to every coin. There's sort of the mental, physical, well, there's sort of the emotional side, like the behind the scenes side. That's what I'm trying to say. And then there's the actual mechanics, the actual meat and potatoes. So this article went into kind of the routines before the first jump and how to end. And I want to touch on that stuff for sure. If I didn't think it was important, I wouldn't have written about it and chosen a topic as a topic to talk about. But recently we did power lead outs. So, and where to stand for a lead out. So you can go and learn more about strategic positioning of lead outs. And the thing, and we'll go there a little bit tonight too. The thing I want you to know, remember, and embrace is when you don't know what to do in agility, you don't know where to stand, you don't know what cue to use. As a teacher, I get that a lot. Like I'll number a sequence, and it's real common for folks to take a good look at it and then say, I just don't know what to do here. What I want to teach people that work with me is a set of questions that you can always ask yourself, where so that you can go through a little bit of a routine and come up with the answers for yourself. So we're going to go into that a little bit with first jump and last jump. But before we do that, are there any questions right off of the top about the article? Anything that you read that maybe you guys, some of you that are coming every week, I would be thrilled if I started getting some questions like, Sandy, one time it kind of sounded like you meant this, and I read this article and it kind of sounded like you meant that, and I'm confused now. Because when I write and when I talk, I go into details, and there's always exceptions because they're dogs. So, so when you are hearing me, there's, like a lot of times I can say, this is the question you should have right now. So don't ever think for 1 minute that I'm not going to be able to explain my way out. And I don't have any trouble saying, oh my gosh, I missed that. I don't know. Most everything that I teach you guys, I've already written about, I've already shot a video on it, and I've thought about it, and I have come up with, this is 30 years down the line here, I've come up with what I've learned works for the majority of dogs in the majority of situations, and what has worked for me as a handler and a trainer. But that doesn't mean that there's exceptions. So when you guys say that what I just said, hey, wait a minute, I thought you kind of meant this the last time, and now I'm hearing this, and those things don't jive. I love that because I can clarify it for you for sure. So I'm going to ask you again, any questions about the article? Okay. No, okay, I'm gonna plow through it and make some points then. And then I'm gonna do some drawing on my trusty board here and talk a little bit more about first jump and last jump. Why is the first jump and the last jump so stinking important? For those of you that show, and I know there's a couple people in here who have never shown yet, but you're welcome. I want everybody to go to the chat right now and type a great big yes if you have ever NQ'd because the first or the last jump, meaning everything else in the run went great and you NQ'd either because your dog, usually the last obstacle is a jump, not always, there's no rule, but your dog knocked the first or the last bar, your dog ran around the first or the last bar, you forgot the last obstacle. That's one of my favorites. So just type yes that you've shown before and that has happened to you. If you have shown before and none of those things have ever happened to you, type no now. So you have never NQ'd because of the first jump and you have never NQ'd because of the last jump. So I'm looking for you to type in your chats. So I've got, so far no one, so Amy's let us know she's not shown, but so far no one has said no. So I'm looking for one of you to type a great big no, and that means you are showing or you have shown and you've never had a problem with the first or the last jump. Can anybody type that no? Okay, we're not going to wait any longer because if somebody did type the no, that means they've only shown a couple of times. And I want to tell you the reason that this subject is near and dear to my heart is I don't know what's worse, going wrong on the first obstacle or going wrong on the last. I really don't know, but I know that neither one is my favorite way to screw up. So that first bar comes down, or running around the first jump. It's when that happens in snooker, they run around the first jump, and while you're trying to save it, you screw up the second one, and you end up with 0 points in snooker, which is hard to do. Snooker is a game in USDAA that is a little bit of a nail biter. So I do want to go over these routines. I do want to go over these things that I think are important. The things in the article are things that can, oh, don't tell me I did this again. Sorry, guys. It'll just take a second. Whoops. That is not where I need to be. I need to get that article up. Give me just a second. I'm going to have to go. Hold on just a second. All right, that's a better way to do it. Well, I have something wrong with my inbox. Hold on just a second, guys. Don't anybody go anywhere. This is the presenter's biggest okay, I might have to make a co-host. Never had this happen before. Let me try this. Well, I'm going to have you do this, you guys. I'm going to have somebody go into their email and send me by email the invite to the, oh, I know what I can do. Boy, howdy. I got it. All right. Ta-da! Sorry, guys. Good thing I know most of you. So first jump, last jump, the good habits about starting. Again, I'm not going to spend more, I'm going to spend about 10 minutes on this because most of you have done the power lead outs, which talk about that routine. But what I like about the beginning of this is that, the trouble is that handlers' attention is often not on their dogs. So they miss the brilliant choices the dog has made, as well as the ones that could use a little handler influence. You guys, we've all had to rush to the ring. We didn't realize we were up. They changed the jump height order, whatever. And we are running to the ring. I've done it. I've been there, but I can remember that I've got a living, breathing being on the end of the leash. And the worst thing that's going to happen on planet Earth in that situation is that the judge says, you took too long to get here and now you can't run. And I'll live through that and the sun will come up tomorrow. And that's not going to happen anyway. So taking that extra 2 or 3 seconds to not run like your hair is on fire when that happens, to let everybody know that you're coming, to let everybody know it's your turn and you're hurrying, but you're not going to completely do it at the expense of rattling your dog, not paying attention to your dog, not connecting with your dog from that crate, from the car to the ring gate. And even as I get to the great gate, I take just a second, smile at my dog and say, we're going to do this. We're on, it's our turn. Yay. And come into that ring with myself, my little nervy self, a little bit calmer for my partner. You guys, we rattle our dogs when we rush. We rattle our dogs when we rush in training. We rattle them in one way or the other. We either, if they're a little dog that has a tendency to get a little on edge, we make that a little more intensified. If we have a dog that is goes over aroused, we make that a little bit more intensified. If we've got a dog with low coping skills, we make them want to cope less. We are not inspiring them to cope with their little stuff and then our stuff too. They should be spared our crap. So that taken that time. And so I'm talking about a worst case scenario when you weren't prepared. There's plenty of folks going into the ring that knew they were up, that have been standing there waiting for the dog to finish and are still ignoring their dogs, are still expecting that dog to turn on and off like a light switch when they're ready to focus on the course. And I'll tell you what, if you don't know that course, by the time the dog ahead of you is halfway through, the chances of you having a wonderful run are kind of limited anyways. And you might as well just put your attention and your focus on your dog. I don't like that feeling. When I step up to the ring gate, I feel like, and on my way to the ring gate, what I'm trying to say is, you guys, when I get my dog, by the time I go to get my dog to go to the ring, that's my dog's time. I've already given the course all I can give it, the court and my friends. And everybody needs to learn how to say, if all you have to do is smile and say, I'm up in a few, and everyone at the show goes, sorry, or okay, I'll talk to you later. Everybody. So if you've got someone that you can really look them dead in the eye and smile and say, I'm up in just a couple, and them not know what that mean, I would be shocked, and give them my number and I'll help them. So that's something everybody's got to learn so that your dog gets that time. So the routine, yes,
Can you expand the picture a little bit?
yeah,
Does that expand up one more?
yes, it
Or
does.
full
Hold on,
screen it or something?
I can do, yeah, thanks. Is that better?
Yeah, it was a little hard to see.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So these good so, and you guys, your routine may need to be different on a hot day, on a cold day, on depending on how much traffic is around the ring gate. If there's a dog your dog doesn't like, I mean, you can't just have one routine. And I've had dogs, real high drive dogs, where their routine is easy, good boy, sit close, good boy. And then I've got other dogs where I'm tugging and, worrying I'm going to upset another competitor, and being careful and conscientious that I'm not doing that. That is a thing. How rowdy you can be and not upset someone else, how much, it's a polite thing. But there's a line there about doing what your dog needs from you and being respectful, and that line can be played with. Sometimes I warn people, if I see somebody that's kind of protective of their dog, I'll say, geez, I'm really going to need to tug with this dog. Would you like a chance to move? So communication is important. This part here, when I hear people say their dogs get bored with the routine, well, then you've got a boring routine. The routine is designed to do what the dog needs, whether he needs to be connected more to you, he needs to be more excited, he needs to be more calm, so that you're trying to create you have a few scenarios that you can go to get that dog in that frame of mind that he needs today to do his best in the ring. And doing a little bit of fetch. You can't do much because your dog has to be on leash, but sometimes I'll just like place the ball. So I put the ball in the dirt and I've got the dog's collar and I'm like, get it. And then, play and tug with the ball a little bit, or having him drop it to hand and putting it back down. So there's ways and there's ways. If I've got a dog that's over aroused, I'm not going to do something like that. If I've got a dog that says, I can't tug, I can't do sit, I'm too worried about my surroundings, I'm really nervous today, I'm not going to take that dog in the ring. And have I ever driven 2 hours, got up at 4, paid the $100? If you're showing multiple classes, it's not $100 a class, Amy. And not shown? Yeah, hell yeah, I have. And felt so good when I was driving home that I did what was best for the team. I took one for the team. Have I ever gone in and drug a dog into the ring that didn't want to be in the ring, that told me this is not the best thing for us? Yes, I have. How did I feel when I drove home? Not the same way. Why didn't I take one for the team? Because yeah, sometimes they'll do okay, but they didn't come out better for it. Your team didn't come out better for it. So those are things there's another show the next week, and honoring thy dog. Now, asking the dog to change his mind before you go in, tempting him with food and toys. So the dog says, I don't think I want to be here. You guys, have you ever been going to an event that you didn't want to go to? There's a lot of talk in dog training right now about honoring the dog and respecting the dog's wishes. And I like the idea of noticing the dog's wishes. And I think the folks that are doing such a brilliant job in teaching us to honor our dog's wishes, some of them have gone a little too far, in my humble opinion, by saying we should not only notice what our dog is telling us they want, but we should honor it and never ask more of the dog than the dog is offering at the moment. I'm telling you guys, I have personally have been talked into doing some things or eating some things or going to some places or meeting some people that I wasn't in the mood and didn't think I wanted to, and was so glad I did. And I have on many occasions with a student taken their dog together down the road that the dog was sure it didn't want to go. I don't want to get out of the car. I don't want to come into the training room. I'm afraid of that big round thing with the ribs that all the other dogs are running through. And pushed, bribed, cajoled with food, with toys, and changed that dog's mind, not made them, and change their mind. I've heard it actually called coercion in recent months. And after the dog's mind was changed, influenced, I think for some of us it might be like a drink of wine, the dog be invited back in and then have a go at it. I'm not saying that everybody that says honor thy dog's mental state is saying what I just said, but I have heard it from some. And I'm telling you that if I'd let every dog who said, I don't think I want to come in there, not come into the training building, our sport would be much smaller than it is, because there's lots and lots of dogs that aren't sure about what to like. And there's lots of dogs that aren't sure that they're going to like tug, or they're not sure that they're going to like being up on a dog walk. And I don't think there's anything wrong with bribing dogs to do stuff, making them do stuff when they don't want, when they say, I can't. This is the line where the dog is saying, I don't care if you've got food and toys, and I don't care how happy you are. And I don't care that you're saying it's okay. I don't believe it. I don't want the food. I don't want the toy. And I don't believe you right now. That dog, if you make them, you're in trouble. So I hope that helps if anybody's in conversations of this type. And that is about your first jump, you're approaching the ring. So I think that the benefits of the first jump routine and the last jump plan were made pretty clear in this, and the lead out, the power lead outs is also in the study groups that expands on that. But we're going to get some actual, I'm going to draw you some scenarios here. So I've already talked about this. I want to go through the article first. I've already talked about based on the dog's drive, and it's from day to day. Approaching the dog's crate, you know, as soon as I'm approaching the crate, I'm like, yeah, baby, it's time for us. So I'm connected at that point. And then we've already talked about experiment with a little bit of obedience, a little bit of play, tricks. Tricks are roll over, touch the hand. Obedience is line up to my leg, sit down, stand. And then this knowing what you want from the dog. Is it to your advantage to have that dog pogoing next to you? Is it to your advantage to have him walking calmly? Is it different from day to day? I wouldn't try to make the dog do something from the gate. So I'm talking about when you step into the ring to the start line. I wouldn't be asking for something that the dog doesn't know well. It's inspiring to do things super easy and fun, and it's uninspiring to do things that are difficult. So if your dog's heeling is his weakest link, just baby him in there. Don't be insisting on that heel position that he's not going to get right and you're going to get frustrated about. You're just kind of setting yourself up there for frustration. This is a biggie, you guys. Before you step in the ring, you should know exactly where you are going when you leave the dog at the start line. So when I've got like, I know exactly in relationship to the obstacles that I'm heading toward. I'm going to be X number of feet after this wing and this number of feet on this side of the tunnel. And I know the exact spot I'm going to. So I am not walking out to a general area and then looking around and moving over a little and looking at my dog and go, oh no, this isn't where I want to be. And then moving around, repositioning. I march. like I'm loaded for bear to an exact spot. I look back and I say, good dog. And I'm telling my dog, I know where we're going. I know how to do this. You've got a strong, competent partner. And that may be my only chance to look like that. He may knock the first bar, go around the first jump, but I'm going to take those moments to lead out there, look like I know what I'm doing, like I own the joint. So the handlers that go out and then they reposition and their shoulders are shrinking a little bit. That's that power lead out thing. The dogs are going, oh, she's lost already. And they're either going to come off that start line like, this course is mine, I don't need her, or they're going to come off like, oh, I'm just going to lope along and hopefully I'll get enough of the commands that it will, it won't be too hard on me. So I think that is all pretty clear. How people end their courses, you guys, you know something, it's a small world and life is short. So treat your dog like they are the most wonderful thing on the planet. I want everybody to hear me say, good boy. If you don't feel it, fake it till you make it. Act as if whatever you need to do, but it looks good. And you know what? It feels right. No matter what happened out there, it's just a dumb dog game. I've made my career off agility and I can still say it is at the end of the day, just a dumb dog game. I have one video of me ending a course where I don't look thrilled. And I'm kind of doing this like, oh, I'm showing disappointment. You know what run that is? It's my nationals win. And I watch that tape and think, oh, you don't look thrilled with that little dog. Granted, you guys, it was a long shot. I had a little tiny bobble. It wasn't even counted. And you know what? That was one of those days where all the hot shots made a mistake and I ended up on top. And I sure wish that national championship had me doing my normal, I love my dog, which is how most of the ends of my runs look. So that concludes our part about helping your dog with a routine, with an attitude, with a way that you have decided to be for your partner. I want to just touch on, I talk about this Susan Garrett's crate games, so that your dog, if you're going to be, there's crates at the dog shows. Most of us are sending our dogs to the crates. There's a technique where people run they tell their dog to run for their cookies out of the ring. And then they follow the dog and they're going, we're going to get your cookies. And they go to the crating area and they get the cookies. And I know a lot of trainers that think that's a great answer to low drive dog's dilemma. It is one of my least favorite. Is there a dog out there that I would recommend doing it to? Probably. But if your problem is your dog wanting to be out there with you and having fun, jackpotting leaving, I know there are people that swear that it works, but what I see is the dogs run really, really, really fast over the last two obstacles and out of the ring. And I've also seen a lot of those dogs be obsessed with getting out of the ring. And it makes sense to me. So I would rather, it's not so much that that's never worked for any dog or the handler hasn't believed it's working, which is kind of more like it, I hate to say. It's just that I would rather solve whatever problem is causing that handler to think that running out to a jackpot is the solution. Whatever problem has brought them to that solution, I think there's going to be a better solution than that one. So that's my take on that. having your dog love to get in his crate is valuable for life. So it's still being, it's still a very valuable thing to have a dog that loves to go to his crate. So if you're going to use that running to the crate for a jackpot, that's why I say it's a sticky wicket. I wanted to explain why I think that. Getting your leash on and getting it on quickly. In some venues, if you don't have the leash on, I've even seen handlers opening the gate while they're putting the leash on. And if you've got a judge that's a stickler for that particular rule, they're allowed to be. It's a rule. And when you signed your entry form, you said you're agreeing to whatever that judge says. Darn it. So if your dog has one nose or one toe out of that gate before you have the leash on, they can take your cue away. So yeah, you don't want to do that. So getting that leash on, the leash runner is supposed to have it down there. And you may need to practice. Some dogs that have long hair, you need to have a leash that you can get off. I don't know if you've ever been in the ring and not been able to get the leash off. That's why I prefer heeling in, but sometimes that's a little too stressful. So having the right leash that you can get off and on quickly. And then knowing whether or not you can have your collar on and what to have on the collar. So now that we've taught, any questions about the article?
Question about what you just said. Is it always no collar in the trials, or?
It depends on the venue. In AKC, you can have a collar on, but it can't have tags hanging and it can't have plates on it, and it can't be too fancy. A plain buckle collar is what the rule says.
So is that a safety factor mostly, or?
You know, some of it's not safety. I think some of it could be club affiliation. I don't really know. Some collars are made out of things that could be used as like a tug toy if they're made out of braided cloth. And, you know, some of these rules are just because they had them from AKC in particular, had them from confirmation or obedience. So they needed collar rules for agility too. In USDAA, if you have the collar on, you're disqualified. In AKC, you can run without a collar. So that's part of, I always joke, Amy, that I don't do rules. I just try to do my best. And the rules change. And when you're doing something for 30 years, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't keep up with the rule changes in all the different venues. But you do need to know what about that collar. And I'll hear people outside saying, well, this collar's legal because it only has 2 colors on it. And this collar's legal because there's only 1 inch of fuzzy stuff and not 5 inches of fuzzy stuff. And I'm thinking, if it's not a plain, as in nothing on it, don't use it, because the judge gets to make the call. So plain buckle collar. Okay, let's talk about the things that you can do on the first jump in handling to help your dog. So you've got your first jump and your second jump and your third jump. Can you see? So you can actually make a straight line and put all 3 of those jumps in play. To do that, your dog's front paws would have to be just like that. So you guys, this is why you need to teach a dynamite, rock solid line up to my leg. Because if your dog's paws are going like this, he's going to take the first jump, but he's going to run around that jump. And if you just line him up perfectly for jump 2, he may miss jump 3. So I actually moved him so he was lined up, and that was very subtle difference for 3. Now, some dogs won't take jump 1 like that. So the handler has to set the dog right in the middle of the jump, or the dog won't take the jump. That's the difference between training and handling. If your dog has to be facing the jump, you're not going to be able to lead out down here past number 3, because you're going to have to control the turn that you're creating. Now your dog is taking this jump like this, and your dog will have to turn to take number 2. So that's why jump around the clock in my 1 jump, 2 jump series, it teaches the dog to take a jump, excuse me, from any direction, just one single jump. So, and from far back with you anywhere. That's the thing. Everybody's like, oh, I did jump around the clock. But when the dog was here, they stood here. And when the dog was here, they stood here. That's just teaching the dog to go straight across a jump. That's valuable. That's not a waste of time. But what I want my dog to know, this arrow is a little bit not right. What I want my dog to know, if he's here, that I can be in any of these spots and get him over the jump. Or he can be here and I can be in any of these spots and release him, and he won't come straight to me. So that's training. And that's how you can line a dog up and a lead out for a semi-crooked. And the way I can tell is if I could tie a string. If I can tie a string from the bar on the first jump and tie it to the third or fourth jump and catch those other jumps in the middle, it's straight enough. But the other thing I did when my dog was young is I did things like this, where the dog could read to take jumps that were tilted and offset. So if you, and this is fun, you guys, and what's really cool about this type of training is that the dogs will act like you're from Mars. They'll be like, what the hell? And you set them up here, and you lead out either to this side or this side. Can you see? And your dog goes over this one and then just runs to, it's like, I can't figure this out. But if you back chain it, put the dog here, let him have that one, put the dog here, that one, then that one, put the dog here, that one, that one, that one. What you get is this beautiful thing where the dog goes, oh, I can adjust my body a tiny bit and pick up obstacles. And then you've got to, then when you get good at line setting, if the line is reasonable, the dog is going to take the obstacle. You're both on the same team. You're both working towards the same thing of take the obstacle. So this line went a little wonky. What I was trying to show you is that you could stagger jumps and make a straight path. That's what I was really trying to show you. So, and like I said, you'll show the dog a few times and the dog will be like, well, what the heck am I supposed to do with that? And when you show them, the light bulb this is one of those things, when the light bulb comes on, it stays on. Jen, Remy could use some of this. If she's there, if she can hear me, she might.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking that same thing. That would really help Remy.
Yep. Yep. I remember when I was first in novice with Tux and he was going around stuff, and border collies do that. And if you've got a dog that's going around jumps, call me at midnight tonight. Don't go to bed tonight. Call me. Because we got to talk. It's just a problem that it gets hard to fix. But it's like, really? You can't, like, my line has to be that perfect. And that's when I was obsessing on line setting. So I'm like, oh my gosh, every line has to be perfect. And then I was like, no, me being perfect can't be the answer for this team. No. Me can be good, but me can't be perfect. So that's when I said, do you understand that if something's in your general path, it's okay to take it, that you shouldn't, if you're on this line, it should never. So you guys, what do I call that? Test time. What do I call that? Come on. What do I call this theory?
When in doubt, take the jump.
When in doubt, take the jump.
I couldn't get my mute off.
Amy, you'd get 2 gold stars being new. When in doubt, take the jump. So I have these little things in my head that I can always go back to. Like, does this make sense? Am I asking the dog to, and you guys, sometimes when you're looking at a lead out, I don't know if I'm going to be able to draw this off the top of my head. Maybe I will. So sometimes we'll say, is that a straight line? And if you're used to setting your dog squared to the first jump, you would say, well, these are paws, in case you were wondering. And I always imagine that my dog has little laser beams coming out of his paws, and those laser beams intersect forever. And that's how I know if there's a turn or not, because I cue turns. I cue straight lines and I cue turns. So, and then we might say, I'm going to go back to that, but we might say, okay, I'm going to set the dog up for, I don't know why I'm making them like shoes now, but just, you can live with it. So if he takes it like this and he's lined up for 3, which you might think I just said a minute ago, well, now he's lined up for what? Now he's lined up for what?
Refusal line.
The refusal line. So in novice, it's going to be like that. But in premier, this is going to be your course. And you're going to set your dog up exactly like this to go like that, or to go like that, depending on which side you're going on. So, so then you have to ask yourself, should my dog make that turn to pick that jump up or not? This is the stuff I stay awake at night over. And here's what I came up with, because we'll stand out there and you'll have 6 people having a 15-minute conversation over whether or not that's a turn. So here's my theory. You can take this one to the bank. If it takes 4 people more than 5 minutes to determine if it's straight enough to be handled as straight. The dog can make those tiny little adjustments because we taught him what, Amy?
I have a problem with the mute button. If at all in question, take the jump.
We waited for you. When in doubt, take the jump. So this line setting thing, there is a limit to. And I've argued with people, it's like, well, that's straight. And that's a, is there a, and we're down there like with protractors and magnifying glasses. Is it straight or is there a turn? Is it straight or is it a turn? And one day it just hit me. If it takes this many people this long, it's straight enough for the dog to, it's when in doubt, take the jump. So now let's talk a little bit. Any questions about this? So another thing I'm going to talk about is something that came up in class today. Really, really common dilemma. Okay, so here's your course. 1, 2, 3, and then there was a jump over here. So you guys, these types of starts are going to be real common now. These shorter starts where you don't do big long lead outs, because it cuts down on course time. And it keeps people on this side of the ring a little longer. And they started doing this at nationals a few years ago. So there's a big dilemma over which way to turn the dog on to, and we're not going there. The thing is where to stand. So if your dog, so this is the information zone for 2. Somewhere in here, when your dog arrives in this spot, he's got to be told whether you want him to take this bar in extension because his next on course obstacle's over here, or whether you want him to collect up nice and tight to come this way, or nice and tight to go that way. So whatever you're doing when your dog is here tells your dog what to do. So my first choice handling, and you guys hear me say that all the time, because I know my first choice handling, and that's what I want to do first, would be to stand right here. This is a straight line. Whenever I have a straight line, I don't want to do a side change. Whenever I can get away with not doing a side change, I don't want to do a side change. Side changes take time. So if I can do, the more I can keep the dog on one side, the more I'm going to do it. Does that mean I avoid side changes? No, I do side changes whenever they're needed, but I look for ways not to do them. So if I stand here, when my dog arrives in the information zone, there is no way that I will not be in decel, because I'm standing there before I even release him. So he knows he's going to wrap this jump before I release him. And then I'm going to do all my regular timing. I'm going to have the line set to this direction before he lands. So the timing of when I rotate and where my eyes are and my hand will be down because it's a pull, and all my other job descriptions for my body will be in play. But this is the way I want, this is my first choice handling. But I have a ton of students whose dogs will not drive to them if they're standing still. So they want, because they're smart, because I only work with the smartest people, they want to show movement to that jump in order to get the dog to come off the line fast. So they want to lead out to here and run to that jump. So now I'm saying, okay, fine, but you have to be in decel when the dog arrives here. And if you're not, if you're running there, you better have trained a lie, say, and I do, I sometimes have to, if this was the middle of the course and I was behind, I would have to be running full out, cueing extension and say, tuck, 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 and have him put on the brakes and collect a turn tight. That took a lot of training. That took a lot of training for him to ignore my full out running and put the brakes on to turn tight. It's not a no-brainer like I'm already standing still. So if you're leading out to here, then you have to set your dog back far enough and plan to be moving at the exact right time so that you can still be stopped when your dog hits here. Now, it's doable, but I think it would be way easier to just teach the dog to drive to your damn leg in the first place. So I've not had dogs that don't love to come off the start line, but I play lead out games, you guys, every hike, every walk. I play releasing from the crate. So I have never had that dog that doesn't like to get to me. And the minute I have a dog that might suggest that he's even possibly thinking that he doesn't like to drive to me or get to me fast, I'm addressing it. I'm going to release that dog and jackpot it. I'm going to release that dog and throw their ball. I'm going to release that dog and give them their dinner. That's going to become a thing, a really big thing that I'm going to work on. That when that dog is released, he's going to come at me, because then I don't have to be, do all this stuff. So I can be moving, but not moving at the right time. That's just, geez, I haven't even made it to jump 3 yet, and I got to be a scientist. So that's where I wanted to go with that. Now I want to talk about that last jump, and it won't take me long. You guys, and so what would happen here is a lot of people would either have a wide turn on 2. The only things that could happen in this scenario is you do it just exactly right. And frankly, if you've got that much talent, you probably could have trained the drive to your leg. 2, or you're going to get a super wide turn, or you are going to cue the collection late and the dog is going to knock the bar. The dog that can do the tight turn with the movement and keep the bar up is a very special little dog. So you guys, what a lot of judges will do is they will put a triple or a double at the end. Those are wings, and that's a triple jump, in case you didn't know. And then they've got a jump coming from, let's say, here. And so the dog kind of has to go like that. Yeah. And the handler is coming from here, paralleling this path. But the handler doesn't go like that to parallel that path. You guys, a lot of times when I'm walking a course and I'm trying to parallel the path of the last obstacle, my footprints are the only ones over here. Everybody else's footprints are over here. And what is this doing to the dog's line? Somebody unmute and say, what's that thing? We do it sometimes intentionally, but most of the time.
T-boning.
T-boning. So then the dog goes, oh, I'm not supposed to go this way. And the dog tries to adjust for the handler's path and knocks that triple. That triple coming down as the last jump has happened. You guys, I only know all this stuff because I've lived it in a bad way. So I am very careful to accommodate the dog's path and parallel the dog's path. No, I'm not going to do it too early and pull the dog off. No, I'm not going to do it late. I'm going to do it just right. Just like you guys do when you drive your car, you hit the brake and turn the wheel just right all the time, every time you drive. So, but I'm always noticing, and there could be another jump here, and the dog's line you may want him, but if he's landed big here, he's going to probably take this jump like this. So wherever this jump is, all I'm saying is if the dog is taking it like this, you parallel that. If the dog however the dog is taking the last jump, parallel it. What we do is we go last jump and we just because we've been taught to drive to the last obstacle. And that's what we're doing. We finish this jump and we're headed to that last obstacle, and we're not realizing that it's a T-bone. So, yeah. And then when you're practicing on that last jump, this is a biggie for me, you guys. So say you're in class, you're at the park, you're at your practice center, you're in your backyard, wherever you are. And let's just say you set up a pinwheel. I want to do a pinwheel day at ACE really bad. So you've set up the pinwheel and you've circled it and you've rear crossed it and you've front crossed it and you've done it at a distance. Every single time you end whatever sequence you're doing, have a plan for extension or collection. on that last jump. So say you've gone here, here, around here, and this is the last jump you're going to do. Have a plan if you're going to wrap to the middle, if you're going to if you're going to turn to the outside, if you're going to cue extension straight out and you're going to practice that end jump like we just did. So you're going to parallel that path and throw the toy. Does anybody know the rule for throwing the toy? What's your job if you ever throw a toy? Patty Poindexter? Patty, what's the rule if you throw the toy? Patty, are you doing dishes? Anybody?
Don't mind me. Am I still muted?
No,
I
I
on?
got you.
Oh, God.
You know what the rule is to do if you throw the toy?
Throw the toy and straight past the jump and go get him and don't stop running. Get up
That's,
there with him
you keep moving until when?
till the dog has cleared the jump and got the toy.
Till the toy is in the mouth.
Yes.
Good girl, Patty. Good girl.
Sorry, more trouble with my mute button than that.
We can wait. We can wait. I understand. It happens to me all the time. So you guys, if you're throwing, what a lot of people do is when they throw the toy, they disconnect their body. So they throw the toy and go, I'm done. And they actually lean back, heaven help me. And they decel. And they're teaching that dog, when I slow up and lean back, you extend. And that is the last thing we want our dogs to learn. We cannot give a physical decel cue and reward extension. This is something every handler can do every time they train, and vice versa. If you want a nice wrap, you can't pass the last jump. And do a rear cross, but get the line set, do proper timing. Whether you're going to wrap the dog towards you on a pull and reward on your left side, or you're going to front cross, your toe is going to be setting a clean line. So what a lot of people will do is they'll sort of do a front cross and then they'll sort of just reward the dog in front, the dog collected and turn tight. No, get that line set, pay on your leg, take advantage of line setting. So all I'm saying is it doesn't matter. What I do is I do my dog's weak link. If I haven't been able to get tight turns on rears, I'll end my drills with a tight rear. If my dog hasn't been extending because I've been doing too much tight work, that's more my style, then and what's fun is because I had that plan for that last jump on that sequence, is I'm also going to be minding my lane up here. If I'm going to say, I'm going to cue this turn when the dog is here, and then I'll go, and all I'm doing is ending the drill. So many folks will end the drill with a lie because they're mentally done. They were mentally done on the obstacle before the last obstacle. So they're like, oh, we're done. And that's also why that last bar comes down. It's that mental let up. You guys, I used to drive to San Jose every week for about 9 years to have Nancy Guy say, keep running past the last jump. Next week, keep running. Did I do anything wrong? Well, you're not driving past the last jump, not driving past the last jump. So and that's what's cool about throwing the toy, because if you say, I will not slow down, that doesn't mean you have to be speed racer. That means you have to run at the same speed. So you could be jogging, you could be walking fast and not decel. It's not about being fast. It's about not changing speed. It's about not decelerating, so that you train yourself to keep moving till your dog's mouth is on that toy. It's a tangible thing. Questions? Questions? Fun stuff. First jump, last jump, they're important. And may you never have to lose a cue because of the first jump or the last jump. And I hope you saw today how this first jump, last jump issue or project, that's a better word, project, is about, like what the article said, a mental a mental and a planning and a time to give back to your dog and prepare your dog, as well as lots of strategy for the obstacles themselves, lots and lots of strategy. So I would say the biggest thing that everybody needs if they want to have strategy on the first jump is a dynamite line up to the leg. And most dogs, it's easy to burn the dog out on the line up to the leg. You want to keep it fun and easy. All right, you guys, I rattled on for another hour. Any questions for me? Yes?
What are you using for that leg lineup?
What cue am I using?
Yeah, are you using a heel or something else?
I use close. Close means stick to
Close,
my
okay.
leg. Stick to my leg whether I'm moving or not. And that pre-agility, we call it catch up to me. My pre-agility class that's almost finished. My favorite three words, goes into that. And it will also help a lot with the dog driving to your leg. And you guys, if you're rewarding line setting, even when you're out for walks, you know, you're not rotating into the dog. And I also have my dogs line up to my leg when I do recalls now on the trail. And what I've been doing, I did this today a whole bunch. They're out running around. And when they check back with me, I've got my fist next to my leg. And you know how we do that in trial when we're doing a backside? It's sort of like habit. You're kind of, you know, look at my hand and come to my hand. So I just do that. Now my arm is down, you can't see it, and I'm seeing which dog notices it. So if my arms are down tight, they're looking for that hand and I'm doing a little jiggle and then they run to my hand, but they have to turn. So they turn around and get the cookie. And I'm giving it just a little bit behind my leg. So I got this lovely non-forging heel position. It's like taking candy from babies. It's so easy and fun. Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. And that way, when I'm on the trail, I don't have to reward my recall and then mess about getting the dog going the same way as me. I just call them in and they're on the same side. And I do both sides, of course. So I'm reinforcing that come to hand. And gosh, every dog loves this. They learned it when they were a tiny puppy, right? That little jiggle.
Right.
It's not this, it's jiggle.
That's just a great idea.
And
Starting them
that's
off.
in the pre-agility too, Patty, because you're ready for a puppy.
Oh, I want a puppy.
You're
I've got a
ready.
lovely puppy right here too. He's an older puppy.
Is it Rowdy?
Yeah.
Good
We're
you.
still going. We're still going. We're getting
Oh,
back.
good.
We
Good.
are. So,
Good. All
yeah.
right, you guys, if stuff comes up in the middle of the night, you don't want to watch the race anymore, you can just text me questions. You can always text me questions, and tell your friends, please, if you're getting value from these. And we're working hard to keep the YouTube site up. It's going to be easier to find more things on it. All right.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Patty.
All right.
Take care.
Thanks,
you guys.
Sandy.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet. Bye-bye.